Hello, beautiful beings. It's Andrea Foulkes here at her parents' house with some wisdom on evolving consciousness. And the big question that I had this week, and so I promised, because over a few weeks and months, I've had this same question pop up for people. And it's, how do I know I'm connecting with my higher self? And I think when you come from a left brain perspective, you think that someone can intellectually explain to you what's the difference between, your inner thoughts and some higher perspective. It's not a higher perspective. I think sadly, because of a lot of false light teachings or twinky twonky spiritual teachings, of the fluffy new age variety that have, come on the scene in the last probably, I've been doing this for 22 years, so perhaps the last 10 years more so. And the buzzword has been, we're ascending, it's ascension. And in truth, we're coming into ourselves. So it's an in-scension into yourself. And so how do you know what is actually not your higher self? I think that's probably, I've used that word in the past, and I think it's probably not appropriate description for what you're actually trying to do. The higher self is really the authentic voice without fear, guilt, shame, or blame attached to it. It's that voice when you truly live in the space of the heart, and you can't intellectually explain what the space of the heart really is. Nobody can do that. You can give somebody the experience to hopefully experience falling into that space of their heart. And many people during their spiritual awakenings, myself included, would talk about having spent time living in that 24/7 for a length of time, and life comes and happens and you can fall out of it again. But once you've had that experience of being in that space of grace, purity, and being in your heart, you will know what it is, so you can discern the difference. And that's what I would say is the higher self. It's that space of grace within yourself. Now, falling into that space and holding that space will depend on how much backlog of trauma you have to clear. And by trauma, I mean, observing yourself. Are you a fearful person? Are you an anxious person? Are you an angry person? Are you good with boundaries? Do you have good discernment? Do you work more in the left brain? Because if you're more in the left brain, you're probably not going to have experienced really being in that space of grace in your heart. Also, if you're too away with the fairies in the right side, you're not grounded. So it's when all this energy aligns. And sometimes in sessions and workshops, we can bring, especially in one-to-one sessions, I would say, when I see people in person, you can get people to that space of grace in their heart and they experience it. Sometimes in Skype sessions, we have that falling into the heart, but it's a process and it depends. If you're newly waking up, you might not be used to that process of going inside yourself. So it's going to take some practice and discipline. And in the sessions that we're doing, we're clearing the fear, we're clearing the limiting beliefs, we're clearing the judgment, we're clearing why you can't fall into that space in your heart of grace and peace and being. And of course, life events are going to happen and that might throw you out of that place, which you may call in terminology your higher self. But to discern, this is the process. It's about discernment. This is about truly evolving consciousness. It's not like, oh, we're going to do all these like high vibe spiritual stuff and I'm going to just find myself in my higher self. More than likely, to hold that energy, hold that space for any length of time, you're going to have to reclaim your soul shards and have this awareness of yourself and learn discernment, consciousness, responsibility, things I'm responsible for, not feeling. I think it's really clearing the fear and the guilt and the shame, fear and shame, clearing that out of your energy field. And so just explaining from this client, because she was a wonderful person and a wonderful example, you know, amazingly gifted at the job that she does, very left brain, very much involves academia of, you know, mathematics, not necessarily my particular speciality. So I admire people who have those gifts, but it also is tipping her very much into this energy. And she was overgiving out of kindness to people, as a lot of people did coming out of the back end of COVID. They'd, you know, open this space of kindness and generosity to people. But then if you get that feeling of I'm overgiving, this feels not right for me, you know, that may be your intuition showing you that. There may be a story to clear. Maybe you're not very good and you're angry with the other people. Maybe you're not very good at asserting boundaries and really cutting something off. And initially, sometimes we describe a situation, and with this particular lady and client, it was great because initially she was describing it in a very mild way. You know, I'd overgiven to this person, I'd given for free my services, and then I said I can't give for free because it felt wrong for me and I need to charge now. And this person wasn't happy with that. And they were abusing her boundaries that she was trying to assert. And then she felt guilty to block this person. And then this person was trying to get more work, more of her gifts out of her for free. And then when that didn't work, was trying to then sort of hit on her, you know, in a romantic kind of way, to which she wasn't interested in. But this gentleman wasn't taking no for an answer. So she felt guilty. See, then it was, you know, observing that she had a lot of guilt in her, because she initially did feel that she could block him, but then she felt guilty not to block him. And then unblocked him. And of course, he starts contacting her again. But sometimes you have to have these experiences of cause and effect. And you're going to go, okay, for my own higher self's well-being, I've said no to this person. I've overgiven from kindness. It's been misunderstood. It's been abused from my perspective. Now I need to assert boundaries that I've asked politely, and now I have to embody the mighty no. And sometimes that mighty no might involve blocking someone so that they can't contact you because they're abusing the boundaries. And that actually is a pathway of communicating to your authentic self, which you in brackets may be calling the higher self. You know, the higher self is not going to allow you to have feelings of feeling taken advantage of and your kindness being abused or taken too far with the kindness, with nothing in return. And so these are examples, and this is the very thing I'm trying to get across, is you need examples of feeling icky to know that that feeling is not the divine you. The divine you falls into a space of grace, everything falls away, you're living in this place of peace, grace, love and being, which I've experienced living in that space. It's very beautiful. When you truly inhabit that space, it's like everything starts to line up for you, and you know, everything just kind of washes over you. It doesn't bother you, nothing bothers you. It feels like, I don't want to say God, because I don't mean a religious God. I mean, like, you become the divine grace within yourself, and it feels like you're this perfect being floating about in the universe, but in a grounded way, because sometimes people have that floated feeling and they're not grounded. They can't actually operate in this reality. You know, they can't pay their bills. They can't you know, operate day-to-day life because they've gone too much into the higher energy. You know, some people say we should be dismantling the chakras, but even if we take away that word chakras, we still got energy points in our body. So if too much of our energy is in the upper self, we're not going to be grounded to live practically on this earth, because this earth does run on some sort of geometry. But you want to get into the more evolved aspect of yourself. And you can only get in that when you've cleared out a lot of fear, guilt, shame. So I know I'm repeating myself, but I hope that that helps those of you who are asking, what is the higher self. The higher self is actually not higher. It's the authentic you. It's you aligning with everything within you, having the wisdom and insights to see things in a wise way, not holding on to anger. And, when we're dealing with people who we might describe as being narcissistic, the best way to get rid of a narcissist is to evolve your own consciousness, take the responsibility of why am I attracting these people? And, when you get caught off guard and they contact you, which they will, you get to observe your reaction. If you're angry or hostile with them, that's energy, that's food to them. So, when you answer and you find yourself finally going, I don't know why you're contacting me. I'm not interested in what you're saying. Goodbye. But you're saying it from this calm place, and you're not faking the calmness because inside you're seething. You just observe that you're in this calm space of being. And you're like, wow, I'm observing myself, truly feeling neutral. And this is what we also call the 0 point field. That is the neutral field within ourselves where we're not bothered. It's not bothering us, whatever, but you're grounded with it. You can still operate in this world. You don't need to smoke wacky-backy or drugs to inhabit that space within yourself. You're organically doing it by getting into you, clearing out the backlog of trauma, and then you'll be able to hold this space within you for a longer period of time. Yes, some new situation might come in left field and throw you out, but you'll know you're being thrown out, and then it's like to come back into that space of grace again and hold it and have compassion with yourself, like, wow, going through a tricky situation right now. It could easy to get thrown out of that space, but to come back into the space of grace and love and being in my heart. And when you've had that experience, truly embodied that experience, you know how to replicate it. So although I'm intellectually trying to explain it to you, it's better that I give you experiences of being in that place, and then you can replicate them time and time and time again. And every time we get shoved out, we get to process some trauma that's shoving us out, so we can come back into the space of grace and peace. Grace, peace, and being. A little song. Grace, peace, and being. Do 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 do. Anyway, I hope that helps everybody just now. I've got a lot going on looking after my dad at the moment. It's easy to fall out of grace when you're, assisting I'm just going to shut the door, a 96-year-old who's got a lot of health issues going on and, still thinks they're a teenager. And you're doing this on your own. So you get to be tested yet again. A curveball has come in left field. And that's the thing. You can live in a really evolved space, and something will come in and go, wow, a new situation to master, evolving my consciousness into. So that is really the pathway to what many people call your higher self, but is actually your authentic multi-dimensional self. I hope that helps. Much love, many blessings for now, and subscribe, press the bell if you want to be notified of my other videos, and do subscribe because you will miss videos. Sometimes I do them on Facebook, sometimes I do them on YouTube here, and if you wanted to put any comments in the chat, I might be able to answer them. I'm here to help you with sessions. Little bit tricky this week at the moment with one-to-ones. I've had to cancel those in person in Glastonbury, but I'm here and I can host online sessions globally, wherever you are in the world, from wherever I am. And I usually in general offer, 2 or 3 of those a day. At the moment, probably 1 or 2 is what I can offer and fit in with my schedule at the moment that I find myself in mid-July. So much love from Cheshire at the moment, not Nantwich, which is in Cheshire, but actually a little village. Normally I'm in Glastonbury or Cornwall, but this week I am in Cheshire. Okay, so many blessings. Bye for now.